All right, guys, this is Beard of Darkness Book Reviews. We're live with a wonderful guest, one that has dealt with me having to reschedule, so she's been very patient. I'm so happy to have her here finally. Francisca Liliana, how are you tonight?
I am doing very well, thank you. I'm
What a
happy to be
wonderful
here.
bookcase you've got.
I'm sorry?
I said, what a wonderful bookcase you've got.
Yes, it is where what you're looking at is my bank account.
Oh, what I can totally relate. It's like
And
I
by
have.
that I mean it's like -0.
I got you. No, I promise. We totally relate. When I first started doing this, my wife was like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You're buying books even though you have a million to read." I know. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like the first step to getting better is admitting you have a problem, right? I have a
I
problem,
don't have a problem. I don't know what
right?
you're
Me
talking
neither.
about, but I don't have a problem.
Well, I'm so happy to have you here. So I guess we'll just kind of dive into it. Let us know a little bit about let's hear the name of the book, the series, and just a blurb. It can be your rendition of the blurb or however you choose to do it.
All right. Well, I wrote Isla's Reach, and it is the first book in the Breadths and Depths duology. I had originally wanted it to be a trilogy, and then I was like, you know what? No, I think it's better as a duology. So I kind of switched it up when I was halfway writing through the first book. But I'm just gonna go ahead and I have it handy dandy right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read the back of it. Um, so it's the world of Iona has forgotten the time when dragons ruled the skies and their Viden riders controlled the wind. The Evandis War, started by the long dead Canal the Decayed, was won but at the extermination of every dragon and their Viden riders. Evelyn, the last Viden, has been in hiding her entire life, but no more. Once she bonds with Oritum, the last dragon, her purpose quickly turns from being the shield to from the sh- oh geez from being the shield for those she loves to the blade that fights to survive. A reticent assassin haunts her steps, one who has his own demons to battle. They both seek a single person, Merrick, a bounty hunter Venandi, who the assassin endeavors to destroy and Biden hopes to save. These three lives intertwine in ways that leave them questioning everything they've ever known. The roots of Isla's Reach burrow deep to carry the world, but it won't be long until they've broken entirely. I'm so sorry. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Yes.
All right, good. Sorry,
I
that
hear
was
you.
my mic. That wasn't you. That was me. So, I'm glad that you said the name of your book because I've been saying Isla's Reach. It's Isla's Reach.
Eastless Reach.
That
Yes.
sounds
I
so
know
much better than I said it.
I know it's okay. I know a lot of people say Isla
Oh,
and
Isla, yes. I said that at
yeah,
first too, and I'm like, that's got to be wrong.
yeah, I never knew this was a thing. Okay, this like when I first released it, it was a whole thing. And everyone was saying Isla's Reach and then when I would correct them they're like you're wrong. But I'm like
They say what?
it okay. But the reason why it's Isla is because there is a legend in the book about an island, and Isla in Spanish is island in Spanish is Isla, and I
Uh,
grew up in a Hispanic household, and
okay.
so that's just the way that I had always pronounced it, and so I never knew that it could be Isla. But if people want to call it Isla, that's fine. Like I really don't mind. But
So
if you ever see me pronouncing it, it's always going to be Isla.
so everybody just full on display. Isla sounds way better than anything I've ever said or I've ever. I didn't even consider that as an option. And I know a little bit of Spanish, and I'm like, could that be a Spanish word? It never crossed my mind. That's why I do this. These little tidbits of gold, it just helps in the most advantageous. Like it helps everything about the book and the experience.
Yeah.
So Andrew here, the one that really brought us here, I've told him this, and you as well. I think he had been talking about your book, and I said I have to reach out because the cover's awesome. And he was talking about the blurb and how he's enjoying it. And I said, I have to reach out. So Andrew Watson, of course, The Fool's Tale, he has a wonderful booktube channel. He says, Isla's reach will rip your heart out in the most evil ways. Francisca seems nice, but don't trust her. Evil.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
so
like
like him.
Andrew.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a wonderful guy. Thank you
Oh
for
yeah.
being here, Andrew. Speaking of which, isn't it like 2 o'clock where you're at, bro? It's like 2
I
a.m.
know,
where he
right?
is.
Isn't it really
Yeah,
early for
he
him?
probably, I mean, look at that. He's usually never on this late. He set his alarm for you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Nice
He's a
guy. What a
what
gentleman.
a good friend. Just to tell me how evil I am. I love
Yeah.
it.
He's like, I got to get in there and let him know. Oh, I didn't know that. So, Montague, a moderator for my Discord and somebody who's very helpful to me. Even as far, I'm writing my first story right now, and he's been writing for a while. He's written some wonderful stories that he sent me. I can't wait to read more of what he's got. In fact, I've got one on the Kindle right now that I'm supposed to be reading. I think I'll get to it tonight. But he says Jurassic Park was on Isla Nublar. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I explained it to other people too. I explained it. I was like, watch Jurassic Park.
Which is a beautiful island. I mean, minus people getting chomped while they're on the toilet and stuff,
Oh yeah, true.
So how many? So I'm so sorry. You've already said it, a duology. By the way, speaking of duologies, I love trilogies, but if you come out and say this is going to be in a duology, I don't know why, but it's just like, okay, I can get through this, and it's going to be nice and compact. There's 2 books.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 18. It's not going to be 6. Not that I don't love those, but there's a time and place. Duologies make me happy. So
Yeah, they're not super common.
I think they're coming back. I think one of my favorites, and he calls it a saga, but it's a duology technically, is the Moonfall Saga by James Rollins. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, okay.
It's
No,
wonderful. So what inspired you to make this book come to life?
So I'm very inspired by music. I just listen to music all the time, and I imagine scenes in my head, and those scenes, I build worlds around them, and it just kind of evolves into a story, into a book. And specifically for Isla's Reach, I had been listening a lot to the Misty Mountains.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And not just like the story behind the Misty Mountains, but just the mountains specifically. And I have a lot of mountain nature in the book, and so that inspired a lot of what I went through when I was writing it. And yeah, and I'm also a pantser, so I just like sit and I write. I have certain
Awesome.
plot points that I do have like a list of like plot points that I want to get to. Usually once I start writing, it is wildly different than what I first started out with.
That's
But I do
awesome.
have like certain areas that I want my character to get to this place, but I don't really plot out all of the details or anything until I'm writing, and it just whatever happens just kind of happens.
I love that you said that because, like I said at the beginning, just to relate a little bit, very early I'm the rookiest of the rookie, the greenest of the green, as they say. But I'm writing my first story right now, and I tried a while back to pants because I was like, I'm gonna try it. Stephen King can do it. Why can't I? Well, I can't. It doesn't work for me. So I have to have what you said, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I like where the writing takes you. I don't want to plot every single point out because it just kind of takes the fun away. It's too specific. Can you relate? You like to take it? You like where your writing takes you?
Yeah, I really like where my writing takes me because when I write, I put my headphones on and I just kind of lose myself in the story. And I really try to get into the mind of the character. And what the character is going to do doesn't necessarily line up with what I want to do in like the plot section of what I draft before I actually start writing. It gives me kind of like a guide, but
Yeah.
it's not a rule book. And so I prefer just sitting down and writing and letting the characters take me where they're going to take me.
So I'm writing that down because I really like that. It's a guide, not a rule book. I like that. That's a
Yeah.
really good way to put it. What is the subgenre that you would classify? It's a fantasy, but what subgenre would you put it in, or multiple, whatever you would think?
I definitely think I would put it in the grimdark
Okay.
category, and light magic. There is magic, but it is not the focal point. It's not the point of the story. But I did struggle with that when I was first trying to figure out what this story was going to be, because when I read a review, I can read a few pages and say, oh, this is grimdark. Oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is,
yeah.
this is a character driven story. This is a plot centric story. I can totally
Mhm.
judge other books, but my own book, forget about it. So
Sure. No, that I think a lot of people can relate with that.
yeah, so uh I was trying to like figure it out, and I was telling a friend like the plot of the story, and as soon as I
Mhm.
started like saying the plot and saying all the things that happened in the book, I didn't even wait for her to say anything to me. I just kind of said, I've never said all of it out loud all in a row, and that's pretty dark. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's definitely, I would say, in the grimdark category. Yeah.
So that's another really good point. So far you've just got really telling and useful information for people who are writing, and I can barely relate with it, but I can a little bit. So I'm just gonna say a lot of that is what I've thought too. Like um, reading it out loud to my wife shows me very plain and clearly where things are wrong that I need to
Mhm.
fix. Now, if I read it in my head, for some reason, it's different. It's
Yeah,
like
it's totally different in your mind.
yeah. And
As
so
soon as
when
you
I,
start talking about it and like with somebody else, it just kind of comes to you, and you're just kind of like, oh, I get it. But
so
like
it's,
you have
I
to
think
like say it out loud?
maybe it's like a vulnerability thing. Like, okay, somebody else is listening. I really have to pay attention right now because I'm kind of vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm letting somebody hear what I've written. I want to move over here a little bit. I missed so many good questions the last few days because I've been getting a lot of more chats or comments in my chats, and
Uh-huh.
I'm a one-track mind guy. So I've missed some good ones. I hear my wife's like,
Go ahead.
"Hey, you missed some good ones." I'm like, "Hey, I'll pay more attention if I can." Soul Free Wolf, thank you for being here. He says I can pantser short stories, but I plotted out the novel I'm working on now for Nano, but it's not turning out completely as plotted. So you're kind of following your writing as well. Hello, Beth. Beth Tabler from Before We Go Blog and Grimdark Magazine. Thank you for being here. Um, who is your cover artist? I know the answer, but I like to talk about him.
Oh,
So
the impeccable, the amazing Felix Ortiz. Drum
all the good ones.
roll. Oh,
Yeah,
I have like my
it's
my little shrine to him here.
he deserves it. I'm a
Oh,
huge
he's
fan
amazing.
myself. Um, yeah, I hope one day I can talk with him. I think that's like one section. Oh, I haven't talked to an editor. I've got an editor on my list though that I'm going to interview. But I want to
Nice.
go. I think it's useful to hear from all of the different jobs. That being a self-pub author, you have to hire or you do yourself. I mean, it's
Yeah.
there's lots of. What was the most unexpected part of being a self-pub author for you?
Oh, okay. I think the pro most unexpected. Um, I tried to familiarize myself, but I mean, I knew the steps that I had to take,
Mhm.
but going through those steps is really, really hard. I knew what had to be done, and it was just hard getting there. Doing the research, trying to figure out who I wanted to edit the book, who I wanted to do the cover art, how I wanted to get this book like formatted. That was a huge stone in my path, where I was trying to
Okay.
figure out how to format the book just to get it ready to go to a printing place. So I had to do research
Yeah.
on that. That was a big step, but
So you
I
did
think
that.
yeah, I did that.
Wow, that's impressive. Now,
Yeah.
I think I love that because a lot of authors think that, well, a lot of people think that the indie space, if you will, that they always do their own editing, or, well, not especially edit, but like formatting. That's often
Hmm.
hired out. So doing it yourself and really researching that and finding the right way to do it must have taken a lot of time.
Yeah, it did. I had to go through quite a lot of different articles and stuff to try and figure out what I wanted to do and everything. But I ended up finding something that really worked for me, and it was very helpful. But yeah, I think the hardest part for me was the actual editing of the book. I did go through a developmental editor,
Okay.
um, because it's it's really hard getting people to read your book before it's
Sure. Yeah.
before it's like completely out there. So I had a whole of like two people read this book from start to finish. And I was way too close to it. I couldn't figure out because I didn't think it was ready yet. And
Mhm.
so I decided to go with a developmental editor that was absolutely amazing. Her name is Hillary
Yeah.
Sames. She
Hillary
was
Sames.
wonderful. She gave me like a 10-page dissertation of
Wow.
of of points and things that she liked and things that uh, she thought I could work on. And she did a little bit of the actual editing portion of it as well, like a proof, like a little bit of proofreading. It wasn't her specialty, but she did like help me out there. And I was able to get my book far more, like way more, that the way that I wanted it to be with her
Mm.
help. And I couldn't have done that without her. And then for the actual proofreading portion of it, I just did not like I didn't have the money for it. I didn't have anything. I didn't have the funds to be able to actually go and get somebody to proofread the book for me. So I did it myself. It's not perfect, but I did it myself. I did it to the best of my ability.
So much
And
respect.
and
Seriously.
I oh, thank you. Thank you. And it got to the point where I was proofreading so hard and so much that I knew myself, I said to myself, I was like, if I keep doing this, because at that point it had been like 4 months and I was still proofreading the book. And I was just like, I need to get this out. It's never going to be as perfect as I want it to be, but it's as good as it's going to be as I can get it currently. And if I don't do it now, I'm never going to. And so I just did it.
I love that. Real quick, you've covered so many good points right there. So real quick, Book Mama 87 wants to know if it was hard to get Felix. Did you have to wait?
I did have to wait. I reached out to him, I want to say in October of last year, and he didn't have any availability until like I believe it was like March.
Okay.
And so if you do want to book him, or really like any of any artists, I would say book months in advance because
Uh, I,
they're busy, especially Felix. He's
yeah,
very busy man.
I know two or three authors right now that are they struggled with that same thing where they're ready to kind of finalize the process as far as releasing their book, but waiting for their commissioned piece. Not saying that's anything to do with the artist. It's familiarizing yourself with the process and how it's timing and you know something you have to do to really
Hmm.
understand like the experience.
But he was
So
he was great though. Like um he got to me back right away and everything, and I didn't have to like the communication part was super easy. It's just you gotta book him way in advance. But yeah.
yeah, no, I definitely expected that. He's a very popular guy, and I'm so happy for him. He gets to do well. We were kind of talking about it before we got on, but he gets to do
Yeah.
the art for Malazan for
I
the Broken Binding.
oh, I'm so excited. Oh
Oh,
my gosh,
cool!
I am like, I cannot, I can't wait. I'm so excited for the Broken Binding and their stuff of Malazan because Malazan is just you're
I
you.
can't wait.
I'm so excited.
I can tell just by the way that you're talking about it. I need to start that.
Oh my gosh, it's such a great series. Oh, it's like
And
my
you're
favorite
a
in the world.
Grimdark fans like me. You're a Grimdark, and you don't like hard magic systems. Neither do I. I love soft magic systems. Grimdark, soft magic system. I'm in. You know.
Well, Malazan has quite the magic system, but
Okay, so
it is hardcore. There are people who will say it's not grimdark.
uh
I've never read a series that's more grimdark than
okay.
this.
So
But
I wonder how I'll take that. So I'll tell you what I'm not into, or that I haven't found a book that I'm into from him, is Brandon Sanderson. Huge respect, by the way. Just I haven't
oh,
found.
okay.
I've only tried a couple though. I read Elantris, and it's like a 7 out of 10. That's okay. You know, I liked it. I
Yeah,
didn't love
yeah.
it. And then I started. I haven't finished yet. The Way of Kings.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, it
would you
those are
recommend any one of his books other than the ones that I've tried?
I love his book Warbreaker. That has
Ooh,
a really great magic system in it. I love that one, and the characters are great. It's kind of like you think you know where it's going, but Brandon Sanderson kind of like switches the plot on you a little bit when you get through the book, and it's a good one. I think Warbreaker is probably that's not a Stormlight book. That's probably my personal favorite of his is Warbreaker.
cool. I want to be just my experience so far. I haven't read a lot of hard magic systems, so I hope that by the time that I get to Malazan or the book that I find that hard magic system that I like, comes soon because I want to like it. But at the moment, I kind of like less magic. I don't know. And to be fair, I started reading books, fantasy books, when I was 29. I'm 33 this month. So it's not been long. I don't have a
Mhm.
lot of books under my belt. So we'll see where it goes.
You know, the
Um,
more you read, the more you'll figure out your own niche and your own genre and everything. Like, I didn't know how much I love military fantasy until I started reading Malazan. Started reading Malazan,
wow.
and suddenly I'm like, I want to read every single military fantasy book that's ever out there. So I
I,
am all for suggestions.
I see you post a lot of, well, it's right behind you, Promise of Blood, Powder Mage, right?
Yeah, that's the one. I want to read that as soon as I'm done with
Oh,
Malazan because I've heard that
yes,
that one
I
is a
haven't read
really
it
good
yet.
military
Who,
fantasy.
who, who wrote that? Ryan
Brian McKellen.
Brian
Brian
McKellen.
McKellen.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is another author I haven't gotten to read any of his stuff. Another one I really want to get to is, well, Stephen Erickson, but I can't think of his name. Tigana, Guy Gavriel K.
Okay.
He's he's a little bit older, from what I understand, but also from what I understand, he writes beautiful books. So I hear a
Nice.
lot of men cry at the end. So we're gonna try that
Oh,
one.
I'm all for the crying. Give me all the books that cry.
Right. So I know that you're an avid reader. What is your favorite series, and what is your favorite standalone? And yes, I know this is a really hard question. I love the answers
It's
though.
that.
So,
Oh, it's actually really easy for me.
oh, awesome!
My favorite series of all time is The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin
Awesome.
Hobb. And my favorite standalone, it's not technically a standalone because it's kind of like a prequel to a series, but it's centered on a specific character in the series, and you can read it just on its own. You could
I'll
without
accept
reading the
it.
rest of the series. But it's called Skullsworn
Hmm.
by Brian Stabley. I believe
Oh
that's how you
wow!
pronounce his last name, Stabley. Skullsworn. It
Will you
is
repeat his name?
incredible. What was that?
What was
Sorry.
the name? So I was just seeing if you repeat his name.
Oh, Brian Stabley.
Stably. Awesome. Sorry for that. I always write these down because I have to add to
Oh, of
the
course,
endless
yeah.
TBR. Um, so Book Mama had another wonderful question. What's your sales goal? What do you what do you do or recommend other authors do to get exposure to their books?
So I'm going at it a little bit unconventionally, maybe. I don't know. But I try very hard not to focus too much on the sales
Okay.
and the and all of that because I I have wanted to be a writer since I was a child. I mean, just for forever. And so I just want to do what I love. And what I love is sharing stories with people. And if that doesn't create a lot of money, that's okay with me.
I love that.
I just really love getting my stories out there and having people read it and say that they really enjoyed it or it helped them somehow or that they read a character and they said I have felt that and thank you for writing that kind of thing. Like I these are messages that I've received and that's what nourishes me. That's what I
Wow.
love to hear. And to get what I how I would recommend like getting exposure is just interacting with people and just like
Mm.
becoming friends with people online. Like I started
Doing what you're
a
doing.
yeah, like I started a bookstagram like about maybe 2 years ago, and
Mhm.
uh, I didn't even know it existed. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just posting books. I was just posting about
Having fun.
just having fun, what I love, and I made so many friends. I met so many people. That's where I met Andrew. Like that's where
Andrew, right?
like it's crazy. Like um it's same thing with Twitter. Like I just kind of like popped on there to meet other people and to have fun and to do things and to discover other books as well. I haven't
Yes.
the whole world of self-publishing just kind of opened up to me when I started Bookstagram and when I started on Twitter. And now I've got like this whole list of other self-published authors that I really want to read. And I would have never known that if I didn't start all of that. And so for just for me personally, it was all about just having fun. And
I
I
love
wanted
that.
to continue that way. So even if I don't make a lot of sales, it's fine. I'm doing what I love and that's okay with me.
So my opinion on that, and I really believe this a million percent, and I have a similar outlook. It's like I think that if you put the hard work and dedication and you follow what you really love and are ambitious about, that success it's going to find its way into what you're doing. I really truly believe that. Um,
Yeah.
so the packaging, yes. So real quick, Bert Strebel said you sold me on it. I'll grab after this. That's how
Nice.
does that feel? That's gotta feel so cool.
It does. Yes. Thank you.
So I when I got the package with your book in it, it was such a wonderfully like you put pride and hard work into what you're doing. It's beautiful. You pay attention to the small things, and that just comes across in your book. So I think you made a wise decision. That's so cool.
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy to hear that you're so ambitious about it because that's the reason I started this channel. It's like I had no idea that I was going to talk to indie authors specifically. I talked to an occasional traditional published author, but my thing is my thing is the indie space. I absolutely love what you guys are doing. It inspires me. I just can't get enough of it. So I have a million chats over here, of course. So Corey says, "Thank you for being here, Corey. I haven't read but one Sanderson book. I can't pinpoint what it is that makes me avoid reading him, and I should read him. I feel the same way. I really do. Uh, yeah, Book Mama says it perfectly. So many books, so little time.
So little
We'll find the
time.
time
Yeah.
for it, though, right?
Yeah. Well, I think like I Sanderson, he has a really wide range of his writing. And I think that if you don't like the big magic systems and the stormlight, or if it's maybe too complicated, with the different perspectives and all of that stuff, you're not looking for that big type of fantasy. He writes the smaller ones like Elantris and Warbreaker, and he also has his other series, the Mistborn
This one.
series, that goes into a bunch of other books. So I feel like if like like yeah, like you should like not like you should read it, but like you should try. You should
Sure.
try and see if it works for you. You right? And if it doesn't work for
Yeah.
you, then that's fine. If you don't like Sanderson, do you. Like
Yeah. I love that.
life is far, far too short to spend time on books that you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So read what you want. And if you don't like Sanderson, that's totally fine.
And not you say I find out that I don't like his books. That doesn't mean I don't respect what he's doing and would love to
Yeah.
talk with him or like just hear more about what he does and how he influences people. That has nothing to do with my like of his books in particular. I love what he's doing. I love his story. I love his tenacity. Like he publishes lots of books. He's very ambitious. Um, so I look up to him, I guess is what I'm saying, regardless if I ever find that he is the author for me. Um, Tim McKay, who is another fabulous indie author, he says, I liked Sanderson's Wheel of Time books, but I couldn't get into The Way of Kings when I tried. Someday I will, but I don't know. Didn't take. Well, I'm not very far in, like at all, like maybe 2 or 3 chapters, and I'm going to continue, and I hope that I can bite. I really do, because I like big books. Are you a fan of big books?
Oh yeah. The chunkier the better.
Yeah.
I love them.
If I get a little tiny book or like a big chunker, depending on my mood, sometimes I want the smaller one, maybe like a short story or like a collection of short stories. But I'm a huge fan of the big chunky ones. So I don't know.
I've become desensitized. I was reading a book, and it was a little bit smaller than the rest of the books that I usually read, but it was taking me quite a while to get through. And I was telling a friend, I was like, "This is taking me so long to get through," and she's like, "Well, how many pages is it?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's like 500 pages." And she's like, "That's a big book," and I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah, it's funny.
I've
My
just
wife
become
said that same thing.
desensitized to it.
She said, it's a pretty big book. It's like 350 pages. And then she just got done with Lonesome Dove. So now she knows what a big book looks like. It's
Yeah.
like 850 pages, I think.
Woo.
So
Yeah.
she's a new reader like me, like even newer than me. So I'm trying to convert her though into a fantasy reader.
Uh-huh.
I think it's starting. She's reading H.C. Newell's first book, so it's starting.
I try to get my best friend to do that too. Sometimes like she'll come into my room and she'll be like, "Hey," or like looking through my books, and I'm just kind of like waiting for her to like pick up something, and I'm like, what can I suggest to her? I've only been able to get her to read The Justice of Kings, and
Oh,
she enjoyed that. I'm
yes,
trying to work on her to get her to read The
that's such a
Tyranny of
unique
Faith.
book, though. It's like
It
I don't
is.
know,
Oh,
like I don't know if I could like
I
recommend another one like it other than the sequel. I'm guessing I haven't read the sequel yet.
oh, it's incredible. I think one of the reasons why I love the Justice of King so much is the craft behind it, the way that Swan actually wrote the book in the perspective of somebody who's a third party and not the actual main character who is Von Vault, but we're seeing it through the eyes of his ward Helena is just wow, amazing. The way that he did that, because I normally do not like stories that are told within a third perspective, like a
Yeah,
different point of view that isn't the main character, but he does it so good, and I love the way he did it. Like it really inspires me, that book. I would love to write something similar, like in the craft way, the way that he wrote it.
Richard Swan. So you're speaking of, right?
Yeah.
He was so cool. I had him on the show like a month ago, and he was such a cool guy to talk to. He's very funny. He's very witty. He's very fast, and like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool when you kind of expect something else than who they really are. It's like playing a guessing game. So it's always so fun to find out who people are, what they do, if they're of different cultures, like a different country. I just love it. So it's
Yeah.
something I really look forward to. Even so, where are you hailing from tonight?
Arizona.
All right. Yeah, my dad used to go there a lot to work on airplanes. He fixes airplanes, and
Oh,
he used to tell
that's
me,
cool.
he said, "There's lots of rocks."
Yes, we do
That's
have
it.
lots of rocks. Yes. Lots of
So
lots of beige and brown, but we have really pretty mountains.
I was just about to say, what's your favorite part of Arizona?
Oh, the weather,
Oh, wow,
100%.
okay. I
Well,
didn't expect that.
I grew up in Florida, And
Okay.
so I spent my days drowning in humidity, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no seasons,
Yeah.
just hot, sticky drowning. And out here, it is wonderful. I mean, the summers are very hot. I'm not gonna lie, they're very hot, but they are. I would rather spend a summer here than a summer in Florida any
S-
day.
My mom's
And
lived in Florida for like 10 years. I lived 2 years there myself, and I promise you I'll never go back unless it's just like a quick vacation. Because listen, you don't know how fast a Snicker bar can melt until you've been there in the dead of summer. I'm serious. Like you go into a gas station and buy just a Snickers bar and just walk to your car. Don't run. Don't just
yeah,
like normal. By the time you get there, you're gonna have mush, and
yeah,
that was impressive to me.
100%. Yeah.
Another thing was just how, like you said, humid. It's so humid. It's like you're breathing water.
Oh my gosh, you can't get away from it. It's just
No,
everywhere, even inside the house.
yes, you're absolutely right on that. So when you're in the dead of writing, right, you're getting to the grind, if you will. Do you have a set writing process that you stick to, or is it a little more free?
It's a little bit more free. I don't set myself on a specific schedule, but I also don't. I also have to force myself, as many writers I'm sure are very familiar with. Is
Sure.
we kind of just have to force ourselves because once I actually sit down and write, even if I don't really feel like it, once I actually start doing it, it starts to flow and it starts to go. And then once I'm done with the writing session, I'm like, huh, I did it. I accomplished something. But I've tried just I know a lot of people will actually just go on and write and just write and write and write and don't go back and edit anything and they'll just it's just about getting that first draft out and that's that's all it is. And then once you go through your second and third drafts, that's when you can play around and edit more and get it shaping however you want it to be. I can't do that. I have tried. I'll write maybe 5 chapters and I physically cannot continue until I go back and I fix some things that I had ideas on, or, a certain piece of dialogue that I had just thought up of and put it in there, or like
Yeah.
change up some things, and then I'll go ahead and continue. So I kind of write in bursts is the way that I go about it. And then I still go ahead and start doing my second draft and then my third draft, but I'm editing the entire time that I'm doing
Wow.
it.
So you've learned to do that then. That wasn't necessarily what you did at first. You've kind of had the experience. You're like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and kind of change that up as you went, or is that how you started?
That's how I started.
Awesome.
It's just the way that I did it. Yeah.
Well, then you found something that works for you,
Yeah.
and I think that's really important. Tell me if I'm wrong, but if you find a process that works for you, you're ahead of the game already because that's going to be your most productive, rather
Hmm.
than kind of trying things, which you naturally have to do. Uh, like one of my things I found is speaking out loud or reading it out loud. Uh,
Yes.
is very helpful for me. Um, Corey, yeah. So I'm in Ohio, and he's that Corey Ratliff, another excellent indie author. He's from really close to where I am, so
Nice.
he's absolutely speaking. Yeah, we get every season here except halfway. Like most of the seasons, 100%. But like right now, when we get into winter, it'll snow, but it's just
Hmm.
mud. It's just mud.
Yeah,
Um,
I have family in Ohio. I've gone up there a few times before.
yeah, there's it is. It's whatever. It's one of those. It's you can take it or leave it. I've been here for a while, so it's just normal to me.
Yeah.
Um, Montague says everyone has their own process. No one writes the same as another, but you can obviously pick up tricks from others. Hmm,
Oh,
I like that.
absolutely. Yeah. And that's the best way to go about it, I think, is just like do what feels comfortable for you, and then you like listen to other people who have their processes and you just say like, oh, I kind of like the way they do this, I'll try it out, and if it works for you then you can add that to your own process, and it just
I
like
love
it
that.
doesn't have to match what everybody else is doing. Like whatever works for you works for you.
I like what you said earlier. Do you? Because I think a lot of people are afraid to do that. Being their being themselves. They think
Yeah.
that they have to follow this step by step, whether it's promoting your book by marketing or writing the book or whatever it is. I think it's best if you find your own way of doing things, and don't let let the influences that are positive or may help you. Sure, try them out, but if it doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it.
Yeah. It when you're writing and you're marketing and all that stuff, it's really, really easy to get burned out. It's really easy to lose why you started doing it in the first place. And so just like don't worry so much about what other people are, you know, are doing and everything. Like yes, you can learn so much, but that's what it is. It's learning. It's learning. You take what you want and you try it out. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. And if you have your own process and it works for you, then that's absolutely okay.
My guy here, Nick Horvath, he's my dude. He's got a wonderful new book. It just came out on Halloween called Sledge versus the Labyrinth. Oh, you get like that excitement about Malazan. Right
Yeah,
now, this is that book for me, and
nice.
oh, it's so good. Definitely check him out, Nick Horvath. It's Sledge versus Labyrinth.
Cool.
It's really good, like punchy. Uh, I wrote a review on FanFiax of it, and I think I nailed it with my take on the book.
Nice. Okay,
It's
cool,
really
cool,
good.
cool.
So he says, "Do you have the entire arc of a series in your head, Francisca, or do you write one book at a time?"
I write one book at a time. Um, I I have an idea. I have like a very, very rough skeleton of how I want certain character arcs to go through. Not necessarily like the entire book, but I kind of know where I want a specific character to be by the end of it. And then I just kind of work my way around that and try to get it to that. And then sometimes when I'm writing and I feel like a character is suddenly shifting in a different direction and it's not going exactly the way that I had planned, then I change it up and I kind of, it kind of works that way. But I I would say that I write one book at a time.
That's awesome. I think that kind of gives you some freedom too, in a big way. Like if you don't have this big character arc for 2, 3 books, whatever you plan on having, you can make each book the way in the moment that you feel your writing is taking you and go from there. I
Mhm.
totally understand that as far as I can think about it. I haven't done it a lot yet, but it kind of makes sense to me.
Mhm. And
So
so much changes when you're writing.
I love that. It's good insight because you don't know really what to expect if you've never done it before. And there's such a million variables that could happen while you're writing. And I just love the individual story that you're giving us. Um, do you have a favorite author?
Yes, Robin Hobb.
Okay, so sorry, we already kind of touched on that, but
No, no. You have to tell me when I need to be quiet because I'll
oh,
just talk about her and Steven Erikson all day long.
so I have a good buddy. He's another indie author, DB Rook. He just cannot talk enough about the realm of elderlings.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people love Robin Hobb, so there's got to be a
Yeah,
reason for that.
she's incredible.
Well, what's your favorite thing about what Robin Hobb does with her writing?
Oh gosh, the way that her and Erikson are very similar in that is the way that they write humanity, the way that they write
Mm.
their characters, the emotional arcs that
Oh,
these books go through is incredible. And when I read the first time I ever read Robin Hobb, I y- like when I write, I try to be like I mean I am like my own writer and everything, but like there are some times where like you read a book and you're like, is this kind of my style? Is this kind of my style? Is this what I'm trying to do? Is this what I'm trying to convey? I could never really find that. And then when I read Robin Hobb, I was like, oh, this is it.
oh,
This is it. Me personally, when I'm writing, I like to write emotional arcs. And so Robin Hobb and Steven Erikson just do that to perfection. I mean, Robin Hobb is just this absolutely incredible queen of a writer
Oh
that takes
wow.
you on a journey with characters where you can't hate them, but you can't really love them either. Or like when she takes her villains, I mean, her villains are,
Oh
I've
really?
never
I
hated
love villains.
characters so much in my life,
Oh
ever.
wow.
I mean, like their name on the page would send me into a physical reaction that I hate. And she has ruined some like names for me. Like I can't like see a name and be like,
That's
well, I
powerful.
hate them.
It's like if somebody can do that through writing, it's like what kind of
Yeah,
magic uh, are you touting over there? That's
yeah,
incredible.
it's great.
That may be like the most influential answer I've gotten behind the reasoning for your favorite author or series. I have the first book, Assassin's Apprentice, and I've kind of put off getting into it. I don't know why. I don't really have a reason. So you convinced me not only to start Malazan, but Robin Hobb as well. And I've heard this a couple times that Robin Hobb is very mean to her characters.
She's so mean. She's awful. She's she's a terrible, terrible, terrible writer to her character.
It's like,
She puts
make sure
them
you're not
through
one of them.
hell. Yeah, just she puts them through so much. You don't think that these characters can go through so much, but gosh, they do. It's oh man. They
Uh,
yeah.
if somebody can write and make you feel those emotions, that's pretty incredible because, I mean, as a writer, you've got to like it's just a hard thing to do. Not ever, in fact, very few of the books that I've read make me feel very emotional at all. So I'm really anxious to pick up that book that makes me feel. I like the plots and the characters. Joe Abercrombie, I love his characters. He's made me laugh, but like
Mhm.
that sad crying feeling. I want a book to make me cry.
Oh, Robin
Full.
Hobb's the one for it. That guaranteed.
Okay,
Guaranteed. I
awesome.
have not met a person or talked to a person who has read Robin Hobb and has not cried.
I love that.
She
Anything that
is
can
a
evoke those emotions is powerful, you know?
yeah, she's a slow burn. She's definitely a slow burn kind of author, which is also my type of reading as well, like my type of writing as well. My book is very slow burn, but it's like yeah, she just draws you in and she just
Kind
with
of
your
wrings your
emotions.
neck. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
going to take you for a ride emotionally, real quick. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so he also says, E.L. Montague says, you know you've done it right when your heart beats faster, or you get sick to your stomach, or you get mad, so you have to go on a walk.
Yeah.
I agree. There's been a couple
Yeah.
books where I wanted to throw them across the room, but I'm
Malazan has done
searching.
that to me quite a few times.
I remember seeing a post from you about, I believe it was, goodness, I think it was book 10, maybe. I can't remember the name of that.
I'm on book 9 right now.
Okay, so
I'm
what
on the
was
Dust
eight?
of Dreams. I haven't finished the last one yet.
What was eight?
8 was Toll the Hounds.
That's it. You were saying something along the lines of, "Why did you do this, Erickson?" You were just like so mad at him about something.
It was probably I think it might have been I think the post that you're talking about might have been like why does he write such amazing characters only to
Yes,
have them
that was.
sacrifice themselves? Yeah. To
Wow,
like
you have a good
die of
memory.
the most gruesome
Yeah.
like just yeah, he's very good at that.
So
To
that's
yeah.
a plus for me for sure. That makes me want to read it even more. And also it's like, does your viewpoint change for an author as you read them and feel so emotional, or does it kind of stay the same?
Uh, I'm sorry, what do you mean by that?
So
I didn't
like,
quite
so like,
understand.
no. If you're reading Erickson's book and you're like, I can't believe you killed this character off. Does that change your opinion about reading the
Oh,
next book or anything else from him?
oh no, makes me love him.
Good, awesome. I love that.
I,
So,
I say, I say, oh, I can't believe you. I hate you. I'll see you during the next book. Like,
I love that.
thank you for ruining my life.
Like you make me feel, and I love it. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm so anxious to hear the answer to this question. I always look forward to the answer to this question. What is next for you?
So currently, I am writing book two, and I'm about like 30,000 words into it currently, so I'm not super far yet.
Mhm.
But I'm working on it, and I have other projects that I really want to do. I have a seafaring standalone that I really want to write after this.
Ooh.
And I also have a another standalone, but within the world of the breadths and depths, following a specific character. I have
Okay.
that planned out as well, and I do have a trilogy in mind that I want to write.
I love that you've got. I'm so excited now. I kind of get a glimpse of what I can expect in the future, and that makes me very happy for you and well me because I get to read it. So that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. Who would you like me to, or who would you like to see me interview in the future? I know I started asking this question like a few weeks ago, and I really like the answers. So I think I'll continue to ask it.
I would love to see ML Wang on here. That
Ooh,
would be awesome. That would be so cool.
that
I
would be
love the
cool.
Sword of Kagan. Oh, that's like my next that would be my next favorite standalone. Would be the Sword of
Wow.
Kagan. Kagan. I can't.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I know
Sorry
everybody
if I
does.
said that wrong. I don't know if I said that wrong.
I say it wrong for sure because I say it depending on the day, one or the other. Um,
Yeah, ML Wang would be a really, really cool person to see interview.
well, I've had so much fun having you on the channel, and I always kind of give this a little bit of a time for you to speak about. I know we've covered a lot of things, so if there's nothing, that's okay. But is there anything that you'd like to tout about that we haven't covered, or if we have, tout about some more?
Um, well, I don't think so.
Okay.
I just like we're just really happy to be here, and
Oh,
I'm really grateful
well,
to you reaching out, and I'm so glad that I found that email.
oh yeah,
because
that's funny.
because I know I had been lost in the ether for like ever, and then I suddenly found it. So I'm really glad that I found it.
So a little backstory: I emailed you when I was like 3 or 4 subscribers. So look, when
Oh.
you did find it, it was a much better time for you to find it. uh, but I'm so glad you did. I've had so much fun. The best thing is, and I tell this to a lot of the authors that I interview, reading your book after speaking with you, it makes it such a better uh, experience because I
Yeah.
get your point of view, why you did it, and what's to come. At least most of the time with people I speak with, and I did with you. So it just makes it so much more fun, I say.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm. So if there's nothing else, I'd really like to just say thank you and everybody who showed up to chat away. That I'm so sorry if I missed some chats. Just I have to get me a moderator. That's the decision. I'm looking for one.
Yeah.
And until next time, guys, I really appreciate you being here and have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much.